We got some very interesting news this week as we found out the next show that is being developed by Disney on Broadway, and it is very much not what I was expecting. If you are unaware, this week it was announced by Mandy Gonzalez and L. Steven Taylor that the Pixar movie Coco is the next Disney film to be adapted into a Broadway musical. Now, we have been told that this is in very early stage of development, so let me discuss this further. Why was this news so surprising? What about this news makes it feel very out of left field, and why is it exciting? Let's find out. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie, I talk about theatre, I do reviews, I do discussions, I do news like this apparently. I don't know, we're trying it out. If you like it, tell me about it. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribing, it really helps me out, helps out the channel. But let's quickly get on to this news. Now, this very much breaks tradition. We have seen many different Disney properties be adapted for the stage. Some have more involvement from Disney than others, but for the most part, we're used to seeing a lot of the heavy hitters come to Broadway. Shows like Frozen, Lion King, to some respect Mary Poppins, but not quite. That was more Cameron Mackintosh, but Disney was involved. I'm going to class it, but it's got an asterisk at the end. I'm going to put it here anyway. But the difference here is that all of these are based on films that are already musicals. Coco is not a musical. Pixar has never produced a musical. We have seen some staged versions at Disneyland, which are based on Pixar properties like Toy Story the Musical and Finding Nemo the Musical, but these are very different to Broadway shows. So not only will this be Disney on Broadway's first screen-to-stage adaptation of a non-musical film, this will also be the first time that they've produced a Pixar film. But honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Coco is a film all about music. If you have forgotten the plot or need a slight catch-up, Coco tells the story of a young boy called Miguel. It takes place in a small town in Mexico over the Mexican celebration of the Day of the Dead. Miguel's family have sworn off music, as an ancestor of theirs left the family to pursue a career in music. However, Miguel dreams of being a musician. He has taught himself guitar, and after an argument with his family, he runs away and accidentally finds himself in the land of the dead, where he tries to find his long-lost ancestor. As you can tell from this brief description, Coco is all about music. Obviously, within this, there's going to be characters who won't be singing. Obviously, you're never going to see an opening number with the family who hate music. But there's a lot to celebrate here, and there's so many interesting ways that they could do this. What's more, this is a great show for diversity. It is an unfortunate truth that we don't have that many musicals that focus on Mexican stories. Or for that matter, stories focused in Latin America. However, there will be a lot of challenges, and I'm very interested to see how they overcome these within a musical. Obviously, a lot of this musical is set within the Land of the Dead. And with this, a lot of the characters are dead. They are skeletons in the film. And the film is a journey of sorts. It's a bit of a road trip through the Land of the Dead. And these type of shows don't always work that well. Think of a musical like Catch Me If You Can. It's very hard to take a story that is so focused on changing locations every single second and make it work on stage. But I can already imagine some of the beautiful set design that could come with a show like this. I think the film has such a beautiful colour scheme, and I can already imagine these locations and these images being recreated on stage. I think a lot may need to be simplified and shortened, and maybe the road trip aspect of the film can be focused on a little bit less within the adaptation. And these will certainly be a challenge, but I think it makes so much sense. I can't even believe that I haven't even thought about this idea before. Coco makes a lot of sense as a musical. But I think the other challenge with this, and something that is just, a sad fact, is that Coco is now 6 years old. The film came out in 2017, which doesn't feel like that long ago, but then you actually think about it and you're like, oh. Right now, people are more expecting to see something like Encanto turned into a musical. But Broadway musicals take a very long time to work on and grow. Look at something like Hamilton, which famously took 7 years to write. Obviously, a lot of the foundations are there for Coco. They've already got some music that they can take directly from the film, like the song Remember Me. But there's still an entire score you've got to write. And it's not like something like Frozen where you've already got half of the score there and you just need to expand it. This is a completely original musical for the most part. And I feel it's going to take a little bit longer until we see it on Broadway. And even then, we might not even see it on Broadway first. We have seen a trend of different musicals trying themselves in different places. Take another Disney production, Hercules, which has recently tried itself out in several different venues, including an open air venue. I'm not 100% sure if this is like a Frozen where you take it straight to Broadway. I reckon that this could have tryouts. Maybe it can follow the footsteps like other Broadway musicals and try out in Chicago. Maybe it can try out here in the UK. But if I'm being honest, I think it's going to be quite a while until we see any sign of life from the Coco Broadway musical. As was announced, this is in very early stages, which means it could be 4 to 5 years, maybe even longer, until we see Coco on stage. By that point, it will be about 10 years since Coco, the film, came out. I'm curious to see how this is going to capture audiences, and whether this time away from it will lead into a kind of nostalgic feeling, or whether people will dismiss it. But at the end of the day, I think this is just so exciting. There's so much potential here. There's so much about Coco being a Broadway musical that works so well. And I'm really excited to see its next steps and where it takes itself on its journey to becoming a fully fledged Broadway musical. But what do you think? Are you excited about Coco becoming a Broadway musical? Are you hesitant about it? Let me know all of your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribing. I can't express how much it helps the channel out. There are some links to some other videos on screen right now, as well as a link to my Instagram. But that's it for me today, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!